Hello, I'm Julie, and this is Stamp with Julie Baum. It is time for another episode of Simply Saturday, where we're going to make a card that's fast and easy to make. Now, you are seeing this video as early as November 15th or anytime after that. And so for Simply Saturday, this is the last fall card that I will be sharing. And then I'm going to move on to some Christmas or some other things while we finish up the year. So let's get started. Today I'm using a Cajun Craze cardstock base. Now I've cut it at 4¼ inches by 11 inches and then scored and folded it in half, which is 5½ inches. That's our base, and it's going to open this way. Then I have a piece of basic beige cardstock. Now I have two pieces actually. 4 inches by 5¼ inches, all right? One is going to be for the inside panel, and that's the plain one. The other one, I have put an embossed print on here, and that is from the, I'm gonna reach for it, Forever Plaid 3D embossing folder. Now, if you have a different one that you wanna use it. If you don't want to use one at all, that's fine. Your card will still be cute. So then this piece would just be plain 4 inches by 5¼ like this one. All right, but I'm going to use the embossed one on the front of my card. Now, what makes this card so fast and easy for me is I used a lot of scraps that were just kind of sitting here already. And so to give you an example of that, I had 2 scraps in my packet of these papers already cut in squares, 2 inches by 2 inches. So I grabbed another larger scrap of this print and cut it down to 2 by 2. So there's my 3 squares. I also had a scrap that was a long strip like this. And so I went ahead and cut it into a 4-inch length, and it happens to be 1 inch wide. Like I said, it was just already a scrap, and I decided to basically use it as is. I just cut the length. So that's that. Now I do have a white piece that has been die cut. This is from Stylish Shapes. In my instance, I had a bunch of these already pre-cut, so it was extra fast and easy. If you don't have one pre-cut, go ahead and cut one, or you could just use a white rectangle that is about 2 or 2¼ inches long. There you have it. There's your pieces. All right, so what we're gonna do is glue our basic beige piece onto the card base. Now, there's a lot of texture going on this. So if I use my green glue, I am going to have to use a little bit extra, or I could use tear and tape. Either way. All right, but you can get by with very little glue, especially when you have a flat piece. But because of this texture, I want to make sure to add a little extra because some of it is going to soak into those little grooves and not want to adhere as well to the cardstock. So there, you can see I used a little bit extra today. All right, this is going to go right here on the front of the card. And although a plaid embossed piece isn't necessarily fall, I do feel like plaid kind of lends itself to the feeling of fall. I guess it's because of plaid shirts and things like that. So that is going to help create the look. If you don't have the plaid, as I mentioned, you can use a different embossing folder or just a plain piece. Next, I'm going to glue my squares of Designer Series paper on. And I think I will just kind of dry fit these first because I haven't determined the placement yet in my mind. Okay, something like that would work. Or what if I put this here and this one here and then bring this guy in. I just want to change up the colors a little bit. Okay, I'm liking how that looks. So that's what I'm going to go with. All right, let's put those pieces down. This one's tipping up a corner here and a corner here. This one, ooh, look how pretty that is. That's very pretty. I haven't used that side of this paper yet. Poor paper, it's always getting glued down. Okay, and then this one is going to tip down here. So I've got a point way down and a point at this left edge. You can see that. And then this one's going to go over the top. And I think I want, okay, at first I had it this way, but those greens are kind of matchy-matchy. So I'm going to turn it a little turn there. So I've got my brown closest to the Cajun craze and my yellow closest to the green. I don't think that I want to cover that. Do you see this little gap here? I don't think I want to cover that. It looks too much like a puzzle piece. I think we need some of that beige showing through. So that's going to be the placement. We'll have a corner of this piece right over there. All right, we set a corner there, the brown, and the gold. Okay, there we go. Look it, we're just about done. We're just gonna add some words. So I'm gonna use this to do my stamping on. Now, I've got my basic beige here. There could be a good argument for using vanilla cardstock. However, the background of the designer series paper is white. So we're kind of mixing the white and this creamy color together, and I think it looks fine. All right, we're gonna have to figure out the placement of this. This might go there, maybe, or we've got a couple different options. Okay, let's do our stamping and then we'll decide on the placement. I'm going to use the Gathering Moments stamp set, and I'm going to use Many Thanks. I think it will fit. I better check. Ooh, it's gonna maybe barely fit. Okay, so we're just gonna go for it. If it doesn't fit, I actually have another one of these that I'll grab, and then we'll use a smaller stamp. But I'm having a suspicion that this is just barely gonna fit, even though it's gonna look really full. So let's try it. Cajun Craze ink, Many Thanks, and we're just gonna take our chances and see what happens. See, it works. It goes edge to edge, but you can totally read it. It looks just fine. So we are gonna go with it. All right, this is gonna go on here, and I think I'll pop it up with a couple of dimensionals. All right. Oh, that one was kind of stubborn. Okay, we're going to put this into place. Really, the designer series paper is the focal point of this. It's just so pretty and so autumny. Is that a word? All right, let's put some little embellishments on here. I really like these Cajun Craze and gold dots. And I'm looking for my take your pick tool. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and spice it up with some of these larger ones. So I'll put one here along with a medium. And maybe another large one here. You know what? We're going to use 5 today. It's always an odd number, so 3 or 5. All right, so I'm going to do one here, and I'm going to then do 2 more up here in this corner. Like so. All right, they kind of make your eye follow down like this, which is a pleasant look. All right, let's take this piece and we're going to put it on the inside of the card. We'll go back to that little strip scrap that I have and attach it This is just going to go at the bottom here to dress up this plain paper. And it leaves plenty of room for you to write your message and sign it. You could also add some stamps to this if you want. I'm going to leave mine blank. Oh, goodness. I got things clinging to each other. All right, I've got a little edge of the paper sticking up there, so I'm going to just trim that off. It was a smidge. And now this can go inside the card. You saw that I have my old olive linen thread sitting here. This comes in a 2-pack, the old olive with the early espresso linen thread. Beautiful. I've used them a lot in September and October, heading into November for my projects. And I'm going to see if it looks good. We'll add a piece on the front of our card if we think that we can get away with it without it becoming too much. All right, straightening this out, get that into place. That beige, basic beige is really quite pretty against the Cajun craze. And it's a little bit different. So instead of a white panel, we've got that beige panel on the inside. I think that's a nice touch. All right, let's just see what would happen if we were to add a bow made out of this. Otherwise, you could stop right here, right now, and have your fast and easy card finished. But I am going to tie a bow, and I'll play with the positioning and see if we want to use it. Maybe we won't. See, look how sweet that is. I think it's just enough, and I'm going to do it. All right, cut that off because we're using it. And I need a mini glue dot to attach this. I'm going to pull it off of the sheet, kind of smush it together in a little ball, and place it right where my bow is going to go. And it just adds a teeny bit of softness. And because it's linen thread, it also is a kind of an earthy element. And I think that that is going to work just great. That is our fall fast and easy card for today. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure and give this a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you next time.